The air inside the jet was thin, sterile, humming with power and money. My daughter's hand was small in mine, trembling. Outside, clouds stretched endless, white graves beneath us. My mother's perfume burned my throat. She was smiling, that same rehearsed social smile she wore at galas and funerals. "It's almost poetic," she whispered, brushing invisible dust off her pearls. "Nobody will find you at 30,000 feet." Then my wife laughed, that sharp, expensive laugh she used when she won. "Fall like the trash you are." The pilot didn't turn. The co-pilot looked sick. I saw my daughter's hair whip in the pressure change as the door cracked open. The wind screamed, an animal sound. I clutched her tighter, my pulse steady, eyes on my wife. She wanted fear. I gave her nothing. When we were pushed, time folded. Air vanished, sound shattered, and then silence. 6 hours later, when the plane landed, police were waiting. Because of what was in the cockpit. It started 2 months earlier with a scent that didn't belong. Cigar smoke, my father-in-law's brand, on my wife's blouse. He had died last year. At least, that's what they said. The night I asked about the smoke, she blinked too long before answering. Lied too quickly. Smiled too easily. Later, my mother came by unexpectedly. She brought soup, stayed too long, watched us too closely. Every time I looked up, she was already looking at me. And every time she looked at my wife, it wasn't love, it was calculation. Then came the message, a single text from an unknown number. "He's alive. Stop digging." I hadn't been digging, not yet. But after that, I did. My wife thought I was drowning in grief, in silence. She didn't see what I was building behind my stillness. She didn't hear the recorder hidden in her car. She didn't notice the cloned SIM card in her phone. The betrayal wasn't about love anymore. It was about control. And they, all of them, had already decided I wasn't meant to have any. I stopped reacting. That's what they never understand. Silence isn't surrender, it's strategy. I told my mother I was taking our daughter for the weekend. She smiled like it was a relief. I noticed the micro-tremor in her lip when she said, "Be careful." In the nights that followed, I learned everything. The financials, the shell companies, the inheritance trust that wasn't for my daughter, it was for my wife's unborn child. And then the ultrasound report. 9 weeks pregnant. Conception date when I was out of the country. I didn't confront her. I congratulated her. She cried in relief, hugged me, whispered, "You're a good man." I smiled. I memorized the sound of her heart against my chest, counting seconds, calculating timing. The next step was the pilot. He was loyal to them. But money can confuse loyalty, and desperation can silence fear. When I met him, he couldn't look me in the eye. I didn't ask him to choose sides, I just asked him one thing. Do you want to live? He did. And from that night, the flight plan was mine. Every word, every scream, every push recorded. Every handprint, every fingerprint preserved. Every second of their cruelty transmitted. Because the plane had a second black box, one I built myself. And when they shoved me and my daughter toward the open sky, they didn't know it was already over. I woke up in salt and metal, water in my lungs. My daughter's small body shivering against mine, alive. A miracle, they said later. But miracles are just well-executed plans. The emergency raft, hidden in the cargo bay, had inflated exactly when it should. The GPS beacon, concealed in my jacket lining, had blinked like a heartbeat through the night. When the rescue team found us, I didn't speak. Not about the plane, not about them. I just asked for one call. 6 hours later, when the jet landed, the police were already waiting on the tarmac. The pilot was the first to exit. He was pale, trembling. He handed over a flash drive. It contained everything, Audio, video, telemetry. My wife's voice, my mother's whispers, the laughter, the orders. The captain's log confirmed altitude, 30,000 feet. Pressure loss, open hatch, attempted murder. The footage ended with her voice, clear, cruel, fall like the trash you are. And then silence. When they opened the cockpit door, they found the pilot's note, a confession, a plea for forgiveness, and a final sentence: he knew everything. They kept them apart in separate holding cells. I watched from behind the glass, holding my daughter's hand. She asked why her mother wasn't coming home. I told her the truth, the only version she'd understand. Some people forget how to love. The lawyer asked if I wanted to press charges. I didn't answer. I just slid a folder across the table. Documents, recordings, evidence. He opened it, swallowed hard. This is enough to end them. I nodded. That's the point. When my wife finally saw me, her face cracked. Panic first, then disbelief. She mouthed my name, hands shaking behind the glass. I stepped closer so she could see her reflection beside mine. "You should have checked the cockpit," I said quietly. Her eyes filled, not with remorse, but terror. She realized I hadn't died. I had evolved. That's when she screamed, pounded the glass, called my name like it could undo the physics of what she'd done. I didn't move. I didn't blink. I just watched her unravel, piece by piece, until the guards pulled her away. The sound followed me out of the building, but I didn't look back. It's been 37 days since the fall. The nightmares have stopped. The silence has not. My daughter sleeps beside me sometimes. She still dreams of clouds. I tell her the sky is not to be feared. It's to be remembered. The world calls it tragedy. I call it correction. People think falling kills you. They're wrong. It's the moment before the fall, the breath you take believing you're safe, that destroys you. I stopped believing that night, and for the first time, I started living. As for them, their names fill the news feeds now. Trials, headlines, tears. But I don't read them, because I already know how the story ends. It ended 6 hours after they thought I was gone, when the police opened the cockpit door and found the truth I left behind. I didn't fall. They did. And from 30,000 feet, even the powerful look small when they fall.